In 1985, Jackie Chan smashed his way into the American market with Police Story, a wild Hong Kong action film which is still a cult classic to this day. On this channel I do like to shine light on films that deserve more attention, and this one certainly does. Police Story should be up there with the greatest and most revered action movies. So let's take a look back at Jackie Chan breaking through the glass ceiling again, and again, and again. Jackie Chan started work on Police Story after a disappointing experience with The Protector in 1985, which was supposed to be his entry into the American market. He decided to not only star but also direct Police Story, betting on himself to lead the film to success. Screenwriter Edward Tang was instructed by Chan to write a list of props and locations and centre the film around them. So Tang wrote in a shopping mall, a village and a bus among others. This would go on to be how Chan would work in the future, continually trying to be creative with everyday items and settings, and how he could work them into stunts and martial arts sequences. Police Story contains several ambitious action scenes, including a car chase through a shanty town, Chan hanging off a double-decker bus, and a crazy fight in a shopping mall. The crew nicknamed the film Glass Story when filming the mall scene, due to the high number of panes of sugar glass that were broken. This scene saw Chan endure second-degree burns when he slid down a pole covered in lights and glass from several stories up. He also suffered a back injury and a dislocated pelvis due to this crazy stunt, which has gone on to be one of his most memorable of all time. Chan has described the stunt as one of the most scary he ever did, and he felt further pressure due to time constraints as they only had a certain amount of time to film in the shopping mall. Imagine knowing that you were under pressure to slide down a pole to your certain doom. By calling the film Police Story, there were no expectations, and at that time in Hong Kong cinema, no one had ever made a kung fu action police movie before. Police Story has gone on to be Jackie Chan's personal favourite film he ever made, and it spawned what could actually be described as a franchise.
No bullshit.
The film was a massive hit in Asia and also went on to earn Jackie Chan his only Hong Kong Academy Best Picture Award. Police Story was the third highest grossing film in Hong Kong in 1985 and wasn't screened in the United States until 1993 at the Hogg Memorial Auditorium in Austin, Texas, back to back with Police Story 3 Super Cop, with both films being very well received. The film actually had a limited US release many years later in 2019, grossing $113,164. When it aired on UK TV in 2004, believe it or not, Police Story was watched by 1.2 million viewers. It was later viewed by 800,000 UK viewers in 2006. Combined, the movie drew 2 million UK viewership, which is pretty cool. Shout Factory released both Police Story and Police Story 2 as a double feature DVD and Blu-ray disc in 2013, and eventually the Criterion Collection distributed both films with a 4K restoration, many bonus features, and interviews with Jackie Chan himself. Police Story stands tall alongside all those action franchises we love, but it isn't talked about enough, and it's very underseen, so let's talk about the first film, why it's so great, and how it set the tone for Hong Kong action cinema going forward. Police Story starts as it means to go on, action-packed, with this pressure cooker atmosphere as we see Jackie and his fellow police officers chasing a big-time criminal. This opening is really powerful as it intends to honestly depict what police have to go through in the line of duty. There's a huge amount of realism to it, as we see one of the officers freaking out, continually folding under the pressure, and even soiling himself at one point. I respect the film for showing that, because this is very much a batshit crazy fun action film, but in certain moments it takes the time to give things a sense of dirty realism, a depiction of police officers being vulnerable. It really helps you feel the intensity of what's going on and the danger the police are in. Clearly trying to show as well that Jackie, his character is also called Jackie in the film, is the standout among the officers he works with. He's cool under pressure and refuses to give up or fall apart in these intense situations. He's a different kind of action hero and he stands out from an Arnold Schwarzenegger or Stallone. He's not a big muscly macho man, he's a regular guy who just knows no fear and is very dangerous with his hands. You never get the impression he's unbeatable, however you do realise very quickly that he will never give up. The movie is jam-packed full of stunts and fights that leave you shaking your head in shock at what Chan is willing to put himself through. A lot of this was so new to audiences, and we realised we were dealing with a new force of nature in action movies. Arnold and Sly weren't hanging off the back of a bus now, were they? That bus scene to this day is breathtaking. It's bonkers. It really holds up in a day and age of stunts increasingly not being physically done and a reliance on CGI. When you see him literally doing every single thing you see on screen, you feel involved, you feel concerned for his well-being. You don't even have to suspend your disbelief because it's real. He's genuinely risking his life in front of you, and you cannot turn away. I mean, even when he gets knocked off the bus, Jackie doesn't give up, he races down a cliff to intercept them. I mean, every time you think you've seen it all, you realise, oh, he's going to go there too. Jackie is a nutter. There's a special sense of excitement in a Jackie Chan movie that you cannot find anywhere else. The guy is in a league of his own. I think he just decided, I'm going to get noticed, and he just created his own genre really. He took the action police films and martial arts films and just was willing to go where no one else was. And it is really admirable when you look back. The fight scenes are of course fantastic. Obviously, it's Jackie Chan. But again, I want to remind you of what it would have been like to see him do this for the first time for many audiences. And watching this movie on recorded VHS as a kid, I thought I had my hands on solid gold with that videotape. Anything and everything is used, smashed, creatively involved in these fights. The battle where Jackie is taking on these guys physically using car doors and windshields is phenomenal. He kicks a guy from one car onto another's windshield and through a car door. I'd never seen anything like that before, and I'm still, to this day, realising there's never been an action star who uses the environment so ambitiously, but at the same time viscerally, as Jackie Chan. The culmination shopping mall fight is pure insanity. To this day, I'm blown away. Everything in that building is used. He smashes people into an escalator, a balcony, he uses clothes rails and stands, and of course smashes so much bloody glass that you can see why they nicknamed the film Glass Story. My favourite part of this entire sequence is when a real motorcycle drives directly at Jackie inside a shopping mall, and then, through, you guessed it, a glass display. This was really pushing boundaries. Nowadays we see people driving vehicles inside in action movies all the time, but back here this was upping the ante. And that's never clearer than the pole scene. Yeah, Jackie really upped the ante. This is the stunt that changed everything for Jackie, and funnily enough, it still probably is most remembered and respected. I actually think Jackie lost his mind a little bit to even do this, and sometimes I do wonder if the crew should have cared for him more than to let him risk his life like this. It's a truly shocking moment of cinema where your heart is in your mouth, and when it's over you can't quite believe what you've just seen, but you know you've witnessed one of the most stunning and super cool moments in action movie history. While Police Story is primarily action, there are a few genuine themes at the heart of the movie. At the start, it's about Jackie's sense of belief in the efficiency and ethics of the police force, and then his eventual realisation that the police are not the shining beacon of justice he thought they were. We see what happens when idealism clashes with management, and that bravery can actually come back to haunt you when working in the police. There's a really intense sequence where Jackie has been framed and things suddenly get intense and raw. A huge argument erupts between Jackie and the chief about duty and hierarchy, and Jackie accuses his boss of being a coward at gunpoint. It's a really hard hitting moment, and Jackie's frantic performance and choice of words make it one of the most arresting standoffs between a hero and his superiors in film history. Police Story also examines the idea that sometimes the authorities are forced to leave criminals alone who truly deserve justice but think they are above the law. Of course, Jackie ends up as a one-man force trying to bring down this corruption, and you end up rooting for him because you realise that without cops like Jackie who won't ever stop, normally these villains would get away with it. This isn't too different to what was happening in American action films at the time, and you could see Chan was trying to channel his own version of a Dirty Harry, but through his own society's lens. And that's one of the keys to Police Story's success. We're given a snapshot into a police force that we hadn't seen too often on screen, if ever. We were finally getting to see modern contemporary Hong Kong, rather than the period dramas we usually got from Jackie and others. So this was a new era for Hong Kong action films, and it was so refreshing to see. And of course we eventually got crazy films like Hard Boiled and Infernal Affairs that were clearly inspired by Police Story. Although it's not my favourite element of the film, the comedy in Police Story shows Cheung to be a pretty talented physical comedian. There's several slapstick scenes that you could liken back to actors such as Charlie Chaplin or Buster Keaton. They're very innocent and fun, such as the scene where Jackie continually gets a pie in the face. Jackie's constantly getting in trouble with his girlfriend too, and it reminds me of how comedy legends Laurel and Hardy were always getting foiled by their wives. It has that kind of vibe. The strange thing is the comedy doesn't feel out of place, despite it being pretty different to the crazy intense action elsewhere in the film. I think it's because Cheung just delivers so well, and they're just both different sides of his incredible physicality. Police Story shows that Cheung is brave enough to poke fun at himself and look stupid, because in the next scene, he's going to look like the coolest and toughest guy on earth. He was willing to go there and able to pull it off because he has range and charisma. And that's a real strength for this kind of niche that Cheung carved out. He was able to go crazy with the action, but he was light-hearted and tried to show his personality as someone who didn't really take himself seriously. He was always having fun making the films, and he tried to communicate that on screen, no matter how serious the story was or the stakes. Police Story changed Hong Kong cinema and Jackie Chan's career forever. From this point on, Cheung was a force to be reckoned with that Western audiences could not ignore. This movie is a real shining gem of the 80s and should be talked about when we look back at that great decade for action films. Have you seen Police Story? If you haven't, watch it, even if you have a passing interest in action films. But if you have seen this film, let me know in the comments what you think of it, the Police Story franchise in general, and Jackie Cheung. Thanks for watching Movie Geeks. Please press subscribe for more analysis and retrospectives on classic and cult films. I'll see you guys next time.